And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. Our next topic on this special edition focuses on kids' mental health linked to cell phone usage. A study published on PLOS.org shows that youth who spend more than 4 hours on their smartphones suffer higher rates of mental health problems and substance abuse. Dr. Leigh Richardson, founder and clinical director of Brain Performance Center, joins us to dive deeper into this topic tonight. And Dr. Richardson, when you see this report indicating that smartphones are not good for young people, what are some of the problems that we're seeing, not just in America, but around the world?
Well, I think the biggest thing that we're seeing is smartphones have changed our attention span. We used to pay attention about 2.5 minutes, and recent research shows that that has drastically dropped down. And it's because we're used to using our phone and we get information automatically, and we have those expectations. So I think that that's the cognitive impact, but socially, the impact is just as strong.
Now, when I think about us having an attention span initially, before smartphones of 2.5 minutes, what do we have now?
It's literally seconds. I think the last, it used to be you had a 30-second elevator speech when you met people in the elevator. Now that's an 8-second speech.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people can't wait to look back down at that phone. They're done with you as soon as they meet you. Now, for young people, tell me how damaging it could be for young people out there.
Well, I think from a social standpoint, it creates anxiety, it creates depression. They're immediately, they're on social media to such a large extent. And they're used to instant, nobody saw my post, nobody liked what I posted. It's been up there for an hour. And that creates frustration and it creates anger. And when you get that anger and frustration going, then you're gonna feel anxious. You may feel depressed.
And what's the remedy to this if you have young people who are basically emotionally compromised by their cell phones?
Well, it's balance. I mean, cell phones are certainly a big part of our normal life, and they're going to be, and we're not going to change that. But it's balance. My biggest question is, where does your cell phone sleep? Because if it's with you, then you've got a problem.
And so what advice would you have for parents out there who cannot get their children to put those cell phones down?
Well, my advice would start with behavior modeling, because if kids see their parents constantly on their cell phone with them all the time, picking it up nonstop, of course they're going to model that behavior. So set an example, lead the way, and show your kids you can use a cell phone in a balanced way. Set some limits, depending on the age of the child, the older the child, of course, the more time they get. But use your cell phone with intent.
A lot of parents now are under the impression that my child must have a cell phone. What do you think the appropriate age for a child to have a cell phone, even if it's just for emergencies and checking in with mom and dad, making sure, we live in a day and age where schools can be, deadly with mass shootings. And so parents want to keep up with their kids all times of the day. But what do you think it is an appropriate age for a child to have a phone?
Well, I do know families have different levels of needs. Single parents, everybody has different levels of needs. And I think by the time that a child starts in first grade, some parents feel that they need that access to the child. But you can program smartphones so that phone can only do what you want it to do.
Mm-hmm. And of course, we know kids are smart enough to get around that, though, So you would suggest first grade is a good age for kids with a cell phone?
I would suggest that would be the youngest that kids start with.
Got it. First grade. All right, Dr. Leigh Richardson, we want to thank you for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored. Hopefully we can get a handle on our kids here in this country who are addicted to cell phones, so it won't do them all the harm in the world. Like you said, they're on those cell phones looking for affirmation that people are reading and care about them. But for those who want more information on you, where can they go to get more information on you?
They can go to that good old-fashioned brain site, thebrainperformancecenter.com. You can find Leigh Richardson on LinkedIn, and of course, we're on Facebook and Instagram.
All right, Dr. Richardson, thank you for joining us here on the Factor Uncensored.